You believe you're doing the right thing when you constantly put others ahead of yourself. You think it makes you noble, kind, even selfless. But here's what Machiavelli might whisper in your ear if he observed you. Every time you prioritize others at your own expense, you diminish your power. You dilute your identity and silently teach the world to overlook you. Choosing yourself isn't selfishness, it's survival. It's the very foundation for respect, loyalty, and the influence that follows. Those who rise in life, who command admiration and unwavering loyalty, share a consistent secret. They make decisions through the lens of self-preservation first, with everything else considered afterward. Most people equate selfishness with taking from others, but it's not about that. True selfishness, the kind Machiavelli would respect, is refusing to betray yourself just to comfort others. Because every time you say yes when your instincts scream no, every time you sacrifice your time, energy, and peace to maintain harmony, you're not being virtuous, you're being ruled. Slowly but surely, you surrender your autonomy, one minor compromise after another. Machiavelli recognized that power doesn't originate in politics, it starts in psychology. Within each person exists both a ruler and the ruled. The ruler knows what they want, what they stand for, and what boundaries must not be crossed. The ruled seeks comfort, approval, and belonging. And the more decisions are fueled by the ruled self, the smaller and more constrained your world becomes. This is why those who always choose others over themselves often end up consumed by bitterness. They long to feel love, but instead were used. They desired peace, but found themselves erased. Self-sacrifice is rarely respected by the world. It's consumed by it. Think about it. The more you give without limits, the more people expect. The day you finally choose yourself, they'll label you selfish. Why? Because your compliance served their comfort. Machiavelli would tell you this: they don't love you, they love what you provide. And as soon as your usefulness fades, so will their affection. This is why prioritizing yourself isn't cruelty, it's strategy. You're defending the only empire you'll ever truly rule, your mind. Giving that away allows others to rewrite your identity, control your narrative, and manipulate your decisions. And when too many people gain access to your emotions, your choices, and your sense of self, you descend into chaos, an internal democracy where everyone but you has a vote. No true ruler consults every subject before taking action. Neither should you. Here's the harsh truth most fail to grasp. Waiting for others to value you before valuing yourself ensures they never will. Power doesn't work that way. Respect isn't conferred through group consensus. It's seized through self-conviction. The moment you stop asking, "What will they think?" and start asking, "What will I lose if I don't act?" transformation begins. Machiavelli would remind you that the world runs on appearances, not intentions. No matter how pure your heart is, if you act like a servant to everyone else's desires, they'll treat you like one. It's not about pretending to be ruthless. It's about signaling that your energy, time, and attention are precious commodities. When you choose yourself, you impose scarcity on these resources, and scarcity creates value. Consider the individuals you admire most. They stand firm, unyielding to external pressures. They do not seek validation, and when they say no, it resonates deeply. Why? Because they have taught the world to recognize that their approval, attention, and presence must be earned. This reflects what Machiavelli might describe as the quiet art of power, not through dominance over others, but through mastery of one's own availability. When you fail to prioritize yourself, the world molds you into whatever best serves its needs. Your kindness becomes a chain, your empathy a tool, and your patience a silent acceptance. Machiavelli would call this the tragedy of the unarmed good, those who believe that simply being good offers protection. It doesn't. Without boundaries, your virtues become weapons wielded against you by others, often without remorse. To protect yourself, Machiavelli argued, you must embody both the lion and the fox. The lion symbolizes strength, the capacity to assert yourself. The fox represents strategy, the wisdom to know when to retreat, remain silent, or walk away altogether. Choosing yourself requires mastering this balance. You don't need to assert dominance with everyone, nor must you remain silent to win love. The key lies in ceasing to perform goodness and instead embodying self-respect. Initially, self-respect might appear understated. It begins with simple acts like saying no without justification, leaving draining conversations, or walking away from those who exploit your kindness. Over time, however, this quiet defiance grows into power. When others recognize that you won't compromise your values or betray yourself for their sake, they begin treating you differently. Some rise to meet the standard you set. Others may leave entirely. Either way, you win. Machiavelli also grasped a profound truth about loyalty. Loyalty rooted in fear of losing you is steadier than loyalty born of mere affection. When you prioritize everyone but yourself, others' loyalty is often transactional, tied to what they gain from you. The moment you stop giving endlessly, they may feel abandoned and turn away. But when your time, energy, and focus are seen as privileges rather than entitlements, people approach their interactions with greater care. Choosing yourself teaches others how to love you in a way that does not consume you. This doesn't mean becoming emotionally detached or distant. On the contrary, true self-prioritization enhances your ability to love. By no longer pouring from an empty cup, you offer affection from authenticity and strength rather than depletion or obligation. You give because you choose to, not out of fear of rejection or loss. And this subtle shift transforms everything. Machiavelli would describe this as governing by mastering one's willpower. For him, true power lies not in ruling over others, but in ruling over oneself. Yet choosing yourself often feels unnatural at first. Society conditions you to view self-prioritization as selfish or wrong. Compliance is praised, while confidence is punished. Familial expectations, cultural norms, and religious teachings often equate virtue with self-sacrifice. But Machiavelli saw through this illusion. He understood that systems thrive by keeping individuals small because small people are manageable and predictable. The moment you prioritize yourself, however, that system falters. By choosing yourself, you become unpredictable, and unpredictability holds power. This is not about rebellion for rebellion's sake, but about reclaiming authority over your life. You start noticing how often your agreements stem from fear of conflict, rejection, or being misunderstood. You realize how every false yes derails you from your authentic path. And when you finally stop agreeing to things that betray your values or well-being, your life quiets down, but your direction gains clarity. That silence, after setting a firm boundary, it's not loneliness, it's recalibration, a return to inner peace after years of yielding to others' expectations. Yes, some people will drift away when you assert your self-worth. But in their absence, confusion fades, resentment dissipates, and exhaustion gives way to clarity and self-trust. You gain something priceless, internal harmony that is immune to manipulation. The paradox becomes clear. When you choose yourself above others, you evolve into someone worthy of being chosen by others. Confidence radiates outward, drawing people in. Self-respect inspires respect in kind. Machiavelli believed true power isn't seized. It's cultivated by refusing to betray who you are. When you stop shrinking for the comfort of others, the world adjusts itself around your elevated standards. This change is evident, not just in what you say or do, but in what you no longer tolerate. You stop justifying yourself to those determined to misunderstand you. You stop chasing people who repeatedly signal their disinterest in staying. Machiavelli would look you in the eye and affirm you cannot build an empire while seeking permission. Every time you put yourself last, you're subconsciously teaching the world to do the same. Conversely, each moment you reclaim your rightful place at the center of your own story, you assert to others who truly holds the throne. This lesson carries a potent challenge. Once you experience the strength born from self-love, returning to self-betrayal becomes almost impossible. The difficulty isn't in deciding to prioritize yourself. It's enduring the quiet that follows. When you stop making yourself constantly available to everyone, the soothing noise of external validation dissipates, leaving behind a silence that at first feels like a loss. It's easy to mistake that stillness for loneliness, but Machiavelli would reveal it as something far greater, the sound of independence reclaiming its place. The world won't applaud your boundaries. It will provoke them. It won't understand your choices, accusing you of arrogance, selfishness, and cruelty. But what it truly means is you've stopped being easily exploited. Machiavelli argued that living truthfully requires accepting the discomfort of being misunderstood. Most people crave simplicity. They need heroes or villains, saints or sinners. Yet anyone who decides to prioritize themselves inevitably occupies the nuanced gray area where true power resides. To thrive here, you must learn to endure being misinterpreted. Because stepping into self-love disrupts the dynamics around you, and those who once benefited from your compliance may resist the change. They might claim you've changed, but in reality, you've simply stopped playing their game. Choosing yourself brings a shift from pleasing others to prioritizing your own needs. And when this happens, the social structures surrounding you often start to crumble. Friends you believed were constants may drift away. Relationships sustained by your relentless availability may disintegrate. Machiavelli would insist this unraveling is essential. To rise above, you must first dismantle the illusions that kept you small, a process not of betrayal, but purification. It's like pruning a garden to ensure only the life-giving roots remain. And once you've done this, you'll notice something curious. Those who once overlooked you begin to pay attention, not because you chased them, but because you pulled away. Absence holds immense power. By becoming less available, you make room for intrigue to work in your favor. Machiavelli understood this deeply. Constant visibility breeds predictability, whereas scarcity commands value. Choosing yourself isn't just about reshuffling priorities. It transforms how others perceive and respond to your energy. People will instinctively understand that your attention now comes at a cost and adjust their behavior accordingly. Still, it's important not to equate isolation with strength. Putting yourself first isn't about rejecting everyone. It's about forming partnerships founded on equality rather than dependence. Machiavelli guided rulers to avoid relying solely on loyalty. They should build alliances grounded in shared benefit and respect. This principle applies equally to your own life. As you choose yourself, you'll begin attracting people who uplift rather than drain you, connections that sharpen your edges rather than dull them. These relationships endure because they're based on mutual growth and strength. Here's an unspoken truth. Prioritizing yourself doesn't make you unfeeling. It makes your love sincere. When love stems from self-neglect, it carries an unseen debt. You start expecting others to fill an emptiness you refuse to address yourself. That isn't love. It's control veiled as kindness. True love flourishes when it emanates from wholeness, a foundation of strength and self-respect, where affection can be offered wholeheartedly, without hidden strings attached. You cannot steer your life effectively if every choice you make is dictated by the emotions of others. Nor can you lead yourself if you're constantly waiting for validation or understanding. Choosing yourself means no longer bargaining your values just to maintain peace. It means refusing to shrink so others feel comfortable in your presence. It means abandoning the need for permission to live a life only you are capable of building. The price of this freedom? Solitude. But within solitude, identity is forged. Without the distractions of external noise, you begin to truly hear your own thoughts for the first time. That's when the internal conflict arises, the battle between the person you were conditioned to be and the person you truly are. As Machiavelli understood, most people lose this battle not due to weakness, but because they fear what freedom demands: accountability. When you choose yourself, blame has nowhere to go. There's no rescuer, no adversary, just you, your will, and the consequences of your decisions. That kind of ownership terrifies many, yet it's also the foundation for true power. And here's an uncomfortable truth. When you start living in alignment with this mindset, your priorities shift. You stop chasing quantity, whether in friendships, attention, or success, and instead pursue quality. Peace begins to matter more than popularity. Depth becomes more valuable than distraction. Eventually, you realize it isn't that the world doesn't understand you anymore. It's that you no longer require its understanding. And Machiavelli would have smiled at this revelation, knowing that the strongest ruler is the one with mastery over their emotions amidst chaos. Your silence grows louder than explanations ever could. Your absence speaks volumes. Your refusal to engage becomes a reflection, revealing others' dependencies. Over time, those who once drained your energy begin to respect you, not because they've changed, but because you have. By resetting your own standards, you've silently taught them how to treat you. This reveals a profound truth. Real power is less about controlling others and more about refusing to let others control you. Choosing yourself brings clarity. You stop wasting time trying to fix people who resist growth. You no longer chase love that requires compromising your dignity or fight battles misaligned with your purpose. Life becomes intentional. Your words, actions, and even moments of silence carry deliberate meaning. As Machiavelli might describe it, this is ruling through restraint, understanding that energy is squandered the moment it's spent proving a point. You come to see that choosing yourself doesn't mean living in isolation. It means finding alignment. You attract those who share your values, individuals who don't equate love with control or loyalty with dependence. These people don't ask you to diminish yourself. They challenge and sharpen you, upholding the same standards you've set for yourself. Eventually, self-prioritization becomes natural, no longer feeling like rebellion, but rather equilibrium. You start each day with energy that flows toward what truly matters. Peace becomes your anchor, and time, your most sacred asset. You allow only what adds value into your world, and not from arrogance, but from self-awareness. The more you value yourself, the more discerning you become with your attention. Perhaps this is Machiavelli's ultimate lesson. Life isn't about dominating others, but mastering yourself so fully that no one else can ever dominate you. The world yields to those who stand firmly in their self-worth, because true strength doesn't arise from taking. It stems from safeguarding the power within, your will. When you live this way, something transformative occurs. You stop chasing fleeting moments and begin crafting meaningful ones instead. Loss is no longer a fear, but a process of refinement. Peace can no longer be begged for, but radiates from within. What once seemed essential gravitates toward you effortlessly, as though aligned by nature itself. Because when you choose yourself, the world learns how to treat you, not through anything you say, but through the unmistakable gravity of who you have become.